Okay, so welcome to Math 331. This is lecture 14. And so what I want to do today, since we have some guests, is I don't want to continue on the last lecture. We'll move that to Wednesday. I want to talk about a new topic, which is going to lead to some really good mathematics. I want to talk about game theory. And so for those of you who are not already at Williams, if you beat me, you will be guaranteed acceptance and full admissions. My phone is on as loud as possible. So if the deal is off, admissions will call me. So you have until the phone rings if they are not for it. If you're already at Williams and you beat me, then for the remainder of your time here, admissions and I will cover your full tuition. And so I have promised them that I will pay 50%. So there is skin in the game. Okay. So we will play the triangle game. So as mathematicians, we start counting with 0. Okay, the labels don't matter. I just need some labeling system. I'll do 0, 1, 2. You can subdivide however you wish into triangles later, just for ease of drawing. And you should, of course, always be worried when somebody says that. You know, is it really just for ease for drawing, or is this a chance to tweak things to their liking? But I will say, for ease of drawing, I will always draw it as an equilateral triangle and subdividing it into equilateral triangles. And you can see later if that matters. And the goal is to add labels. And if there is ever a sub-triangle labeled 0, 1, 2, I win, because I'm going to be player 1. And if there is no triangle labeled 0, 1, 2, then player 2 or you win. Okay, so we're going to take turns adding labels. And there's a couple of rules. On the boundary, the 3 vertices are going to be labeled 0, 1, 2. On the bottom, you can only use 0s and 1s. On the right-hand side, only 1s and 2s. On the left-hand side, 0s and 2s. And the question is there a winning strategy? And if so, what is it? And so, for example, here is a triangle. And for this one, I did not subdivide it into equilateral triangles. So over here, what are the possibilities for these 2 labels? What are the only possibilities for those?
1 or 2.
1 or 2. Excellent. And then over here, what are the possibilities here? 0, 2. And then I'll just do, a few ones over here. What are the possibilities for those 3? So for those ones, what can I use for my labels? Are there any restrictions on those? No, anything is fine. And then, if I want to go down on the bottom, the ones over here would be 0 or 1. So does everybody understand how the labeling goes? And so, for example, here is one possible game where everything has been labeled. And in the end, you see that there are 5 triangles that have been labeled 0, 1, 2. So I would win. So I've shaded all of the triangles labeled 0, 1, 2. If you could change some of the labeling, is there a way for you to change the label here to get rid of one of the 0, 1, 2 triangles? Is there a better choice that we could have done?
You can make it a 2.
Yeah, we could make it a 2. Could we make it a 1? Well, if you make this a 2, unfortunately, now you've got a 0, 1, 2 triangle right here. So if you make that a 2, you get rid of one 0, 1, 2 triangle at the cost of another. So making that a 2 doesn't work. What if you make it a 1? Oh, it's already a 1, okay. What if you make it a 0? Then this becomes a 0, 1, 2. So looking at this one over here, there's actually no ways to fix that vertex. So if we wanted to fix things, we might have to fix multiple vertices here. Okay, what if we looked at this one down here? Is there any way to fix that? So if we make it a 0, Unfortunately, then we get a 0, 1, 2 triangle over here. So the way that one is labeled, it's not looking so good. What about this 0 over here? What if we made that one? Could we change that one? Yes. So if we make this one a 1, now all of a sudden, let's see if this works. Good. Now all of a sudden I could get rid of that triangle. And so there would be a solution that would knock that one out. So it's at least possible to get rid of some of the 0, 1, 2 triangles if you label things better. Okay. I assume you guys want to play for high stakes, where if you win, you get free tuition and admittance, and if you lose, you have no consequences. If you don't want to play for those high stakes, we can play for these other ones. For every move I make, if you get one move and you win, I'll give you $64. If every move I do, you get 2 moves, I'll give you $32. If every move I do, you get 3 moves, you can get $16, and so on and so on. So the more moves you get without my being able to move, the less you can win. I gave this as a talk maybe 2 years ago to some high school students. And one of them asked a really good question, which nobody had asked before. Can you bank moves? A lot of game shows allow you to do that. And so I said, sure, if you want, you can bank moves. So let's say you get 3 moves for every move I do. And you go first. You can make 2 moves and keep 1 move in reserve. I move, and then you have up to 4 moves. So does everybody understand the options? So if we do for tuition, I get 1 move for every move you do. We can play for money, and I'll give you this deal. And if you win, everybody in the class gets the award. How much money are you risking? Nothing, right? It's very important that you guys have no consequences if things go south. All right? So you are risking nothing. You can play high stakes for tuition or lower stakes for money. For tuition, I get 1 move for every move you do because that's a lot on the line. What do people want to do?
Why would anyone do the 64?
Yeah, instead of tuition.
Let's say your family is so rich that Elon Musk looks like a pauper.
But then why would I want 64?
I agree that you probably would not want to do the 64 over tuition. Sometimes it's an interesting thing. A lot of professional gamblers make money because people want to be able to say they beat you. And so they'll just be able to make so many bets with so many people that they'll win far more than they lose just because it's worthwhile, because people want to say, I beat so-and-so. And so this way you can say, I got Miller's money. And so, if you already have full tuition, being covered, you might not actually want the full tuition because it may not mean anything to you.
Yeah.
So what would people like to do? And we can play multiple times. If you want, we can play 1 time for money, 1 time for tuition. You probably don't want the first game we play to be the game that really matters. So what do you want the first game to be for? Money or for, and if so, how many moves do you want?
How many games do we have?
How long do we have today? We have time to play a couple of games. And again, part of this is a class in problem solving. Gather data, and then start to use that data to influence your behavior. We'll play at least 3 games. How much do you want to play? How much do you want for the first game?
I feel like we should start with 1 for 1 and then go to like 1 for 3 and then play for tuition. I don't know if you guys disagree.
I'll start with 1 for 3.
I feel like 1 for 1, we figure out how he plays 1 for 1.
See, I was debating whether or not to say that when you spoke. Is that a lot of times what you do is you play in a certain way to get information about the other person. So would I be willing to lose a small game and have the disgrace of losing because there's a potential big bet coming? If you've ever watched a hustle movie, the way a lot of hustles work is you lose in the beginning. And it becomes a really good skill to lose in such a way that it looks like you're not trying to lose. So there's two really natural things: 1 to 1, 1 to 3, maybe split the difference 1 to 2.
So 1 to 1, either you beat us and we know how he's going to play, right? And then we can think about
I
it.
think it's gonna be.
Or he throws it when we get 64.
Yeah, I think Professor can make it like really. I mean, maybe we'll get some strategy from him that will like obscure the way games usually work. We can just try one amongst ourselves. Like an actual try.
Do you guys want to play each other and I don't play the first one?
Yeah, we can do that. I think it's gonna be maybe more a representation of like an actual, like it looks like when you try.
Wait, so
I think it's true, but if we play against each other, then we're just wasting a turn, right? Like we
And I am going to say there's only so much time in the class. So the more time you spend.
spend.
So here's a board to start with. And then, this way I was able to get 2 boards on the same screen. So, in the interest of time, loud voice wins. All in favor of 1 for 1? Yeah, 1 for 1. Do you guys want to go first or second? You go second. All right. I'm going to start off, and I am going to take this one here, and I'm going to put a 2. Where would you like to go? Maybe one of you should come up at the board so you can quickly point so I can know where you're going. Can anybody want to come up to the board?
Wait, so already the top of the board is kind of screwed, right? So,
I don't know.
we want
Well,
1 to 2.
Well, I need to get, it's possible if I can get those 2 points to put in a 0 and a 1.
Oh,
But I
but
have
2
to,
doesn't have to be at the top.
no, it's as long as it's 0, 1, 2 anywhere.
Okay.
I think if we put it maybe 2 here, we immediately
Yeah.
block these.
Yeah, I
triangles.
agree.
Is that a good idea?
Okay. So we'll have you go over there and do a 2. And do you want me to say my thought process out loud?
Yeah, sure.
I'm going to mirror what you do and put a 2 over there.
Okay, this is safe, this is safe, this is safe, this is safe. What next?
Do a 0 on the 1 with, oh yeah, I'm just talking with you
Alright.
before I put it up. I'm just doing 0 on the 1 below right there because then it blocks off the next one.
0 here.
Because then
No, then
like,
you can put a 1.
Oh, yeah.
And then it gets a.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
My bad.
This
That
happens.
was a horrible move.
I was thinking maybe
It's probably not a good idea to allow all of you to talk to each other because most people miss things like
What
that.
about a 0 on the 1 below that?
I should have zero. I was thinking of a 2, maybe like a 2
I think that's another 2.
here.
I think
Or
we have to
here.
figure out more choose kind of get into sort of those kind of like yes, put down maybe 0 or 1, and then we have like
Yeah.
an extra spot to just keep putting that to like you can't do this, right?
I don't know, maybe it's such a
You know,
I agree with you.
just put down more choose, just kind of wait to see, like,
What is the optimal 2?
maybe like somewhere here. If
I
this
think-
is a 2, this is blocked.
I think the 1, so you see where his 2 is? The one like diagonal to that. So then it blocks off. It blocks off 2 triangles immediately. Yeah.
This 2?
No, the one is right there. Yeah. Because then it blocks off the 2 where he already is.
Oh, and this one.
And yeah, both of those.
This is where I can do some calculations quickly.
Oh, yeah, and this looks, this one.
All right, do you have a move?
because
Come on. Do you have a move?
Yeah, two.
Two here.
Two here. All
This
right,
one is also blocked.
and I am going to continue and I'm going to respond symmetrically.
Like, do we have to like do something on
We need
this
to do-
bottom triangle?
We need to
Yeah,
put
it's still on
two.
top. We'll have like
You
zero.
don't put a 2 on the right now. Because he has a 0, 1, 2 there.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah, put it.
Maybe we should put a 1 here.
No.
Oh, wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Wait, why don't you put a 2 on the bottom right? Like not the most
You
bottom
can
right.
put a 1 right there and it's 0, 1, 2, right?
No, I think you might be getting confused with the triangle that's close to it.
Oh.
I mean, what about a 2? Do you see where his blue is?
Yeah.
Right, like bottom, diagonal right there. What about a 2
Yeah.
there?
You can't put a 2 there. That's on the
Yeah.
bottom.
Oh, you're right. Oh, are we screwed?
I
Are we
feel
not
like-
screwed?
If he puts a 1 or a 0 here,
Then he wins.
then both of those. I mean, no, we should wait for him. to
So
flip.
if I go in the bottom and put a 1, I'm then threatening you in 2 different spots on the next
Yeah.
turn. So if you don't choose any of the bottom 3, you're in trouble. Because I'll go in the center.
Whatever we choose, we're screwed.
Yeah,
because if
No, I
we-
think maybe we should wait because if we do the move first, then you'll be
Oh.
able to complete it.
Wait.
Oh, can we bank turns in 1?
You could. You
Can we
want to?
skip
Do you
a
want to
turn?
now all of a sudden say that we weren't doing 1 to 1? You want to say now we were doing say
No, but if
3
we're
to
doing
1?
1 to 1, can we skip a turn and bank that 1 to the next turn?
Yes, you can do that. You can bank. You can do that. But if you do that, I will just go right here, and put a 1, and then I'm
Because then we have
threatening.
2 turns.
Sure. You could do that. Yes, and you could stop me like that. So if you want to bank, you can bank.
I think that's the
Wait,
only
let's
way.
just.
Yeah.
I don't think we have a choice.
I think we have to bank. If we
Wait,
don't bank,
what's
he
the
wins.
problem with putting 2 in the bottom middle?
You can't put a 2 in the bottom middle. The bottom middle has to be just 0s and 1s.
Yeah. I think we have to bank or else.
Well, the other thing is you can just say, do the 5-year-old variant. I changed my mind. I don't want to do 1 to 1. I want to do 3 to 1 or 2 to 1, and I've got some moves that I've already banked.
So
feels
you've
wrong.
So what do you mean it's fine? It's fine. So if you go all of a sudden 2 to 1, you've now banked 3 moves. And so you can now call it from your bank. So if we switch to 2 to 1, you've got 3 moves.
But if we skip the turn, we
You
have
can
two
still
moves
skip
on
the turn
next
if you
one.
want.
Wait, what if we put 2 on the point above the 0? Like,
Then he'll just beat us.
what happened? Oh, he puts a 1 there?
He puts one there.
So then I just put a 1 there.
Oh, okay.
I
I'm
think
good.
I think we bank. He puts the 1 in the middle maybe, and we block the 2 on the next one. Yeah, but then he probably wins. To be honest, he wins on the next turn, but we just stall him for it. We just stall.
What
We
if
just
we-
delay the inevitable.
What if we put a
And
0
then
here?
we flip till we were playing 2.
I would say flip. So you're playing 2 right now, and you've got 3 moves, and you can fix the bottom right now if you want.
Yeah, we were playing 2.
You're playing 2. You misspoke. You were misquoted.
Yeah.
So you've got 3 moves now. It's okay if you lose this. I don't want to spend too much time on this.
What if we just go 0, 0, 0?
Yeah, let's do that.
Oh, but then
No,
he'll
no,
get
this is
yeah.
instant lose.
Well, here,
Let's do something
look,
differently.
guys, without loss of generality, the board is so symmetric right now that you've got to either put a 0 or 1 in the middle. So without loss of generality, let's just put down a 0.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's do some symmetry arguments. So now, what do you have to put over here to stop the 0, 1, 2?
We have to put a 0.
You have to put a 0 over here. And then what do you have to put over here? You have to put a 0 here.
But then you're just gonna put a 1.
So now it's my turn, and I would put a 1 over here. I can't put a 1 though, because that's the 0, 2 side.
Right.
I could put a 1 over here. Right?
Where?
Right there.
Yeah.
I could put a 1 over there.
So then you just 1.
Well,
No. Okay.
Yeah, isn't that a 0, 2, 1?
that'd be a 0, 2, 1. And the stuff you had on the bottom was forced.
You see, oh, you're so good.
Okay. So we'll agree that this is a Miller win.
Yeah.
So now, so you saw how I was able to beat you using symmetry. Let's play another game.
We'll go first.
You go first, okay?
Now let's see how he can beat us when we do symmetry.
Okay. All right, so where do you want to go first?
Well, you're going first.
I'm
Oh,
going
wait, we're
first. Okay, who do you want?
Wait, we're going first. Where did he go first?
I went then I put a 2.
We're gonna go middle two.
All right, you're gonna put a
You
2.
can see how he beats us.
All right, so you're gonna put a 2 there. All right. And I'm gonna go straight down there. And without loss of generality, but I can do without loss of generality, it's a 0.
Yeah.
So now it's your turn, and I'll let you break that.
I think we should
Or
think,
did you only want to do 1 move, or did you want to do 2 moves?
One move.
Okay, so you still have 1 in the bank. I need a move.
wait, no,
Oh,
this is,
wait, what if we do,
what, if the professor puts a 1 here, then it's a 4 here, right?
wait, we're trying to get a
Yes,
triangle, right?
Correct. You're trying to prevent a 0-1-2 triangle.
I thought since we went first.
Nope,
we're trying
nope,
to
nope.
move on.
I win if I get a 0-1-2 triangle anywhere.
Always, even
Always.
if we go first.
Even if you go first.
Oh, okay.
You are trying to prevent a 0-1-2 triangle.
I think we should prevent this 4. This
Yes.
is the only one I'm seeing.
Because you're correct, because if I put a 1 over here,
That's
I'm threatening a 2 over
Yeah.
here and a
2
2 over here.
What if you put a 0?
Yeah, we should put a 0 here.
Okay, do you want to go here as well?
How many moves do we have?
We now have 2 moves. Well, it depends.
You have at least another move if you want, if not 2 more. So,
Oh, no.
so if it's my turn, I'm going to go here and I'll put a
Yeah,
1, right? Because then that's threatening this piece here and that's threatening this piece here.
It's unbelievable.
So, so you've got to go here as
Yeah.
well.
We have to.
And what do you want to put there?
Well, not a 1.
Not a 1. And if you put a 0, then I'm going to win on the next turn. So you,
What if we
so
put a
you got
2, then you just put the 1 right there in the corner?
so what are you finding out right
Just
now?
have a
And again,
1 move
this
technique.
is not a proof, but we're gathering some data. When you only have 1 or 2 moves for every move that I have, what are you finding out?
I have a question.
Yes.
So, okay, is it possible to prevent a 0-1-2? Wait, can we play one game where we flip positions?
What do you mean?
Where you have to prevent us from
No.
getting a 0-1-2?
No. No. But if you want, you can have the ultimate. So people who know me really well know I like to hide things. Did anybody notice anything strange about this slide? Yeah, if you actually highlight the line underneath the I get 1 move for every 6 of yours, it basically says something like, if I don't move, you get $1.
Mm.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so what do you think it means if I say, if I don't move, you still get $1?
It's impossible. to-
It's probably impossible for me to lose. So I had a very quick math conversation with the admissions office to explain to them why I am very, very confident with this. I'm willing to play this without moving at all. I'll let you choose every move
Let's do it.
So-
For $3.
for $3. So do it quickly. So I want to make sure we get to all the math. Where do you want to go first?
I don't even know if I can do this.
Yeah. So what do you want? What do you want? Just give me numbers. What do you want this to be?
Just do like 2s across the board, basically.
So you want to start trying lots of 2s like this?
Well, we're gonna hit something.
Well, let's see what happens as we start going down. Do you want to still keep this as a 2? Do you want to keep this as a 2?
Yeah.
All right. What about these 2 over
I see.
here?
We'll switch that to a 0.
So this are both of them zeros?
No, not both of them.
That's another right one.
The right ones, it can be, okay.
No, they have to be both the same.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Because if they're different numbers, you're right. It's going to be a 0, 1, 2.
Both be ones.
Unless one of them is a 2.
But it doesn't matter. Zero.
Right. It doesn't matter if they're both 1s or both 0s.
Yeah.
I don't think.
One of them could be a 2. Both could be 2s.
Is it possible to even do this without you moving?
So if they're both 2s, We can still have twos over here if you want. Do you want to have twos?
No. Should we make that a 0, the top, the one on the left, and then the other one, a 1?
All right, so now you've got a 0, 2, and then this one over here, it can't be a 1, so that would have to be a 0.
Yeah.
And then over here, we've got a 1, a 1. This is completely free. We have 0, 2, this can't be 1, this has to be a 0. We have 0, 2. If this is a 1, we lose, so we make it a 0, and it gets us a 0, 1, 2.
Oh,
So it just barely, I mean, you almost did it. You came down to the final one before you lost. So there is a lot of really good math behind this. In fact, there's a Nobel Prize in economics behind this. The math behind this is what gave Nash his Nash equilibrium. And so what I love about this problem is it's a fun way to introduce you to math that matters. This is not just, well, I got so many lectures to fill up in a semester, I got to do something. I know it's only economics, but it's still like a Nobel Prize. It's almost a Nobel Prize. I mean, it's technically not a Nobel Prize. Does anybody know what the technical name is?
oh, it's like a longer name, but it's not the actual.
It's not actually a Nobel Prize. Let's give you a general life lesson. Whenever you are given something, and this will be good advice for one of the homework problems, start off with a simpler case. So here is a simpler case. I'm going to look at a smaller pair of triangles. All right, let's try to fill up and see what's going to go on this. Without loss of generality, what can you say the label must be over here? 2. Because if it was a 1, then you could just flip things over and just interchange the labels 1 and 2. So without loss of generality, we know that that's a 2. We don't want to have a 0, 1, 2 triangle. So what does the bottom have to be? It has to be a 1. Without loss of generality, that has to be a 1. And then what about over there? And the left. So there's 2 choices, right? If I make this a 0, or I could make this a 1. And in either case, if it's a 0, here's the 0, 1, 2. If I make it a 1, wait a minute. Oh, I'm not allowed to make it a 1. It would be a 2, right? And then it's the bottom. So that is a complete analysis if I have a smaller triangle space. What if I have a larger one? Well, then there's more and more possibilities. So let's look at a simpler analog. We have a 0, 1 game on the line. And I'm going to put in a bunch of dividing points. And each of these have to be labeled 0 or 1. Okay? And if there's a 0, 1 segment at the end, then I win. If there are no 0, 1 segments, then you win. There's a lot of ways to look at this. Okay? Now let's look at it from your point of view. You're trying to prevent a 0, 1 segment. What does this have to be labeled? What does this have to be labeled? So you know, as you go in this direction, everything has to be labeled 0. As you go in this direction, what does it have to be? 1. And so what do you know? You know there's going to be a 0, 1. So always a 0, 1 segment. So the game is rigged. Then you somehow use something like this on the higher one. But it turns out, well, this is a proof. This is not the proof that really generalizes well. Anybody want to guess how many 0, 1 segments there are, or what type of number the number of 0, 1 segments is? 1. In this case, there will be 1, but in general, in any one of these, when you count up how many 0, 1 segments there are at the end of the day, it's a special type of number. It's not a Fibonacci. I'd be wearing a different shirt if it was a Fibonacci. As the president of the Fibonacci Association, I would be wearing one of my official shirts. Let's look at some of the other data we have. How many 0, 1, 2 triangles did we have here? 5. How many did we have here? That's not a lot of data points. We have 1 and 5.
Prime number?
1's not prime.
Isn't it odd?
Oh, you're right.
So it is always an odd number. The number of 0, 1 segments is always odd. The number of 0, 1, 2 triangles is always odd. If I know that the number of times that something occurs is odd, does it have to occur at least once? Yes. And that's how I know there will always be at least one 0, 1, 2 triangle, because I can prove the number of 0, 1, 2 triangles is odd. Therefore, the number has to be positive. So when we look at this, we start off with either a 0, 0 or a 0, 1 segment, and we add something in between. Do I have to worry about what happens if we have a 1, 1 segment? Do you agree that the 1, 1 segment is handled the same way as the 0, 0 segment? So there are two possibilities. I could go to, I'm just going to draw everything. And so I could, okay. So I could put in a 0 here or a 1. I could put in a 0 here or a 1. I start with 0 such segments. And here I start with 1 segment. When I put in the 0, how many segments do I have now? I still have 0 segments. When I put in a 1, how many 0, 1 segments do I have? 2 segments. When I start with the 0, 1, and I add a 0 in between, how many 0, 1 segments do I have? 1 segment. And how many do I have here? 1 segment. Parity unchanged. And since we start with just 1, 0, 1 segment, we start with an odd number of 0, 1 segments. We must end with an odd number of 0, 1 segments. So this is a class 1 problem solving on how do you attack things, what techniques do you have. This is one of my favorite techniques. If you can show that the number of objects is odd, there has to be at least 1. And so this is a terrific parity. There's a whole slew of problems you can get like this. There's the chessboard problem. And so hopefully people can understand that this is a chessboard. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove, oops. I'll remove 2 squares. I'll do it like this. Remove 2 corners. Remove 2 opposite corners. Can you cover the 8 by 8 board minus those with 1 by 2 tiles? No, why not?
Because they're both on like light and dark squares.
Good, they're both on the same color squares. So you start with 30 and 32 for the 2 colors. Each tile removes 1 of each. So it's more than just a parity. There's a beautiful concept called a monovariant. An invariant is a quantity that doesn't change. A monovariant is a quantity that can only change in one direction. It either stays constant or goes up, or it stays constant and goes down. It can't do both. Can somebody give me a monovariant about yourself? Something that can only change in one direction. Your age, yes. And as you get older and older and older, you get more and more depressed that it is a monovariant and not an invariant. Can you give me something that is not a monovariant about yourself? Height. Sadly, it's not a monovariant. You go up, and as you get older, you go down. Weight, hair length. What about your name? You can change that. Who knows the artist who changed his name legally to a symbol? So cultural trivia, Prince changed his name, and the symbol is often read as the artist formerly known as Prince. Your name can change. Most things do not go strictly up or strictly down. But if you have something that moves in only one direction, it's often very useful. This is in some sense similar to the parity argument. I know that there's a difference of +2, let's say, black squares over white squares. And every time I put down another domino, I still have +2 black squares over white squares. So there's no way at the end of the day I can have everything colored. Okay, we have 14 minutes left. I want to end with a really fun riddle. How many of you have ever seen the pirate riddle? Oh, you've all seen this one? Did we do
talked
this?
about it. No, not in class.
Okay.
We talked about it private.
Okay. How many of you have not seen this? When we talked about it, did we talk about some of the interesting twists on it? Okay, so let's do the pirate riddle, because this illustrates some really good mathematics. So there are 5 pirates, and they have the wonderful names 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You often name people to make it easy to talk. They have 100 gold coins that they want to split. The lowest named pirate alive proposes a division of the 100 coins. And there's 2 ways you can do it. In one way, you need a majority of people to support. So if it's tied 2 to 2, that does not count as a majority. In the version I'm giving you, 50% counts. If 50% or more vote for the plan passes and the coins are so divided. If 50% or more vote against the plan fails. The proposer walks the plank and dies, and the lowest named surviving pirate proposes a plan. We repeat until a plan is accepted. We will assume that the pirates are intelligent. What is the final division? So that they can all talk to each other before someone officially proposes a plan. Can you trust a pirate to vote how they say they will vote? If I say, I'm going to vote this way, can you trust me?
Only if it's in your best interest.
But I'm going to be very careful about stereotyping pirates. I would think that you're allowed to stereotype pirates, but I'm not sure anymore. So we will just say that you cannot trust anybody if they're a pirate or if they're not a pirate. Just, we can't trust people. Just because you say you're going to do something, all that matters is how you vote. And people will vote by secret ballot. So everybody will vote at the same time. They'll write yes or no, and then we'll read them all off. So if we do it, we're assuming the pirates are rational. So how should we start analyzing this? So the first thing is always from what we just saw last time, don't do the problem that's asked. Find a simpler problem first.
We start from just 4 and 5.
Yeah, so start with, well, I wouldn't start with 4 and 5. Nope. 1. Right? Start with 1 pirate.
Oh, I meant like you start with pirates 4 and 5.
Yeah, I know. You're starting with 2 pirates. Start with 1 pirate, right? That's the easiest thing to understand. For our perspectives, have you been accepted to Williams yet?
No.
Okay, so if you get this wrong, I will call admissions and I will make sure you are not accepted to Williams. The 2 of you are allowed to discuss. You can phone a friend if you want. What will that 1 pirate propose?
He gets 100
Great. Your application is still active. They didn't warn you about coming to my class, did they?
No.
Okay, so we all agree on what happens when there's just 1 pirate. All right, now have pirates 1 and 2. What happens? Who? Yeah, so pirate 1.
Wait.
No, it's the lowest numbered pirate proposes.
Oh, wait, does he get to vote on his own plan?
Yeah.
Oh,
Right, so this is the 50-50 vote, right?
It's a 50-50 vote. And so in a 50-50 vote, the way I phrased it, the motion passes.
Oh,
There needs to, so you can do it 2 different ways, and it does change things a little bit. So 50-50 vote, that's enough for it to pass. Pirate 1 gets everything. So far, this doesn't look like that hard of a problem. Now we have pirates 1, 2, and 3. Now things start to get a little bit more interesting. And what we're trying to do is this is a journal problem-solving technique. We reduce things to an easier, previously solved problem. Have I told you the story of the mathematician, the engineer, and the burning house? Oh, this is one of my favorite jokes. So my brother's an engineer. He was visiting me recently. So mathematician and engineer walking down the street, and they come across a house on fire, and in front of the house is a fire hydrant and a disconnected hose. The mathematician connects the hose, turns it on, puts out the fire. Good job, mathematician. They keep walking, and a little bit later, they see another house, and in front of that house is a fire hydrant with a connected hose. The mathematician disconnects the hose and sets the house on fire, thereby reducing this to a previously solved problem, and continues walking while the engineer is just pulling out his hair. But this really does describe the thinking of a mathematician. Always try to reduce things to a previously solved problem. With 3 pirates, what happens if pirate 1's proposal fails?
The other two get more money.
What happens if pirate 1?
Oh, 3 doesn't get anything, but 2 gets.
Well, no, you're talking about. I'm saying, what happens if pirate 1's proposal fails?
He dies.
He dies, and then what happens?
2 gets
It goes back to the previous case. So, if pirate 1's proposal fails, then dies and reduces to 2 pirates. So this is a great way to solve this problem, is we know that if pirate 1's plan fails, we reduce to the previous problem. What should pirate 1 propose?
I can see ways it goes. There you go.
Okay.
I think maybe like 99, 0, and 1.
They could go different.
Okay, pirate 1 proposes 9901. And why would you like to propose that?
Because if Pirate 3 has to approve Pirate 1's goal, otherwise he gets no gold. So
Good.
you wanna spend minimum amount of gold.
Good. So have you thought of running for office? So what you're basically doing is, I'm trying to build a coalition as cheaply as possible. I need 1 more vote.
But Pirate 3 has all the leverage. Pirate 3 never dies in this situation. but
So
Pirate
this
1
is where
dies.
things get interesting. Pirate 3 has some leverage because Pirate 3 won't die. What would you like to propose?
0, 0, 100.
So that is the extreme case.
But you don't get any money though.
What do you mean? Yeah, but
You're-
you'll
But you
die.
don't die.
Yeah, but like that means you're not intelligent. Well,
I don't
Pirate
think
1's
you're
not
guaranteed
intelligent.
not to die in the first case.
Yeah, you're
No,
guaranteed not
no,
to
no, no,
die.
no. In the first case, you can say I'm gonna reject it and then reject it.
Okay, then he
No,
gets
if you will
one
not
less gold, but he's not acting
So
So
intelligent.
for those listening on YouTube, there's a really nice heated argument going on here, but this is a theoretical argument. We are not actually testing this.
He does get less, but he could. If
So
you're the
give me
pirate
another,
who
give me
twisted,
another proposal.
50, 0, 50. Is 1 piece of gold really enough to dissuade him from just getting annoyed and not voting?
You can
Yeah.
say 1 instead of 0. That's
They're
a
Yeah, but
pirates.
you could.
You
but
can't make a deal
You
with
So
ever see, you ever
this-
see those psych studies where they offer a split and someone it's very similar and they have like someone will be like, all right, 90 for me, 10 for you, and the guy will be like, no, I'm not gonna take that. That's disrespectful.
Yeah, but that means he's not intelligent, bro.
Not necessarily.
He's not acting intelligent.
Not necessarily, because then the next time,
Well,
Pirate 1 and
so-
Pirate 2.
so you just
Triangle.
used a 4-letter word.
What did I say?
You didn't even, you just have such profanity, you don't
Did
even
I say
know
a
it.
bad word?
You did.
What did I say?
Did anybody else hear the 4-letter word he said?
Oh yeah.
You said next. Actually, you said 2 4-letter words. You said next time.
There's no next time for the first.
So that's the thing. Are we doing this 1,000 times?
No, but
Well, but I'm saying-
they're a group of pirates, so they might
So,
come to go
so no,
next
so
time.
this makes a huge difference in game theory. If it's something that you have repeated interactions with people, completely different strategy than a one and done.
Yeah.
And so if you have this multiple times, then you can say, look, do you think if you propose 50, 0, 50, do you think that Pirate 3 will view that as fair?
Yeah.
Do you think Pirate 3 is concerned with fairness? And again, we're not stereotyping all pirates here.
Well, if there is a next time,
We'll assume that there's no next time. It's a one and done. After the who has seen The Princess Bride? Oh dear
Oh, I
God!
have heard years ago. But okay, so
I don't
he's
want to
gonna
risk.
say-
I don't want to risk ruining the movie. But oh, dear God, such ignorance. Oh, you might have to have a movie night. We will assume it's one and done, and that the pirates are going to retire.
He'll say he's not gonna vote for it, but he'll vote for it.
So this is the other thing. It's the credible threat.
Yeah.
You know, 3 can say, unless you give me 100, I'm not going to vote for it. What does 1 say in response to 3?
Take nothing.
So 3 is saying to 1, look, you either give me 100 or I vote against your plan and you die.
Say, if you vote against me, you're
Good. So pirate 1 can counter and say, if you vote against my plan, pirate 2 takes everything. So if you now say that to pirate 3, what does pirate 3 do? I'm sorry?
Fix one.
But he can say, I'll get nothing, but you'll be dead.
It depends the willpower.
So,
on-
and again, this is what happens when you try to use math and say international relations, or I'm serious, or in the mathematics, you have to be careful that you're accounting for everything.
Yeah.
You know, it's nice for us to talk about these pure abstract problems of using the pigeonhole principle to approximate irrationals with rationals, which we'll do probably on Wednesday now. What happens when you try to apply this mathematics in the real world? People are not computers and androids. I got a chance to meet many of the key players in Moneyball, and I actually got to talk to a general manager of a major league franchise. You don't get many opportunities like this. You have your questions ready. And the first question I asked is, why do teams often save their best reliever for the 9th inning with a 3-1 lead and not put them in the 7th inning with the game on the line? And the response was, pitchers are not robots. There is a value attached to being the closer. You get a save. That sounds great, much better than a hold. And so you have to take into account the human dimension. All of this comes down to bluffing. And so if you want to really analyze gambling and game theory, you have to take into account bluffing, you have to take into account strategy, and you have to have a credible threat. Sometimes, especially if you have multiple games, you do things that are locally bad to affect how people view you. And so for something like this, it's a fascinating situation. 3 can say, look, if you don't give me anything, player 1, you're dead. And player 1 can say, that's fine, I'll be dead, you'll have nothing. Where do you think, if we had to do it right here, somebody give me a proposal, 1, 2, or 3 for player 1 to make.
I would fold it too if I was player 1. I don't want to die.
Well, but see, as if they know that, then they can hold it to
I
you.
know.
And that's problems. So the way the Cold War worked for decades was mutually assured destruction.
Yeah.
Is both sides knew that if they pulled the trigger, the other side could launch a devastating response. Whether or not the other side would was a key question.
How much is 100 gold? Because I feel like that makes a huge difference.
So we can make the amount whatever you want. Make it a huge amount.
Okay.
And then the question is, of course, what's the utility of 1 versus 50 versus 100?
Yeah,
Right.
I feel like that's
No,
huge.
and that's
versus that.
yes, versus death. And so if we're talking about $1 billion,
Yeah.
you're 50 billion versus 1 billion. 1 billion, I'm quite happy to.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're running out of time, but how many people, if you were player 1, would be comfortable proposing 0, 0, 100? I'm not saying I would, but I'm saying I'd be comfortable proposing 0, 0, 100. I'm pretty sure I would have player 3's vote. There is one other possible strategy for player 1. There is one other strategy that nobody has remarked on.
0, 100, 0.
Well, you don't have. Well, yes. What else could player 1 propose?
I guess it's giving non-zero to the second.
Yeah. So you could do n 100 minus n and 0 and trust player 2 to vote as they say. What's the problem with this?
So
You can just
player
wait
2
it
could
out.
gain more by killing you.
Player 2 could gain more by saying I'll vote for you and not.
Well, that's why you just go, instead of, and you said n equals 0.
Right.
You go 0, 100, 0.
So pirate 2 could say I'm actually indifferent in this situation.
Yeah. You're still not guaranteed to.
Right, but it might be useful for them to keep you alive. So anyways, I love this problem because it's not clear what the right answer is. If they're all rational, you can make the argument 9901, and you find out that there's an alliance between the odd and the even numbered pirates. All the odd numbers are together, all the evens are together. But as soon as you have the threat of, I'm willing to let you die. Anyways. All right, so I will stick around, especially for those of you who